If your ink's too slow and your nib won't flow, here's one of the places that you can go. Larry is here to see you through with Mr. Announcer and Cubby too. It's Larry's Fountain Pen Reviews.
And hey folks, Larry here, and it's time to zoom in. Dr. Joe's in the house, and Danny and all the crew people have said, Mr. Tony, let's do it.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
As Dr. Joe disappears humiliated. Oh.
No. He's right in the middle. On my screen, Dr. Joe's right in the middle. He's like the Brady Bunch, and you get to
yes.
You're Alice right now.
Jan. Marsha.
Okay, folks, we got some big news today, and I'm going to pick someone in the audience. I hear to announce who it is. Today, I did get the okay. I've been talking to a famous, I guess it would say famous, I think the person is a pen dealer, pen maker, whatever you want to call it. So, Dr. Joe, why don't you announce what's going to happen and when?
Well, we're going to have Sal Matrone on board for a talk, and he's actually the guy behind Leonardo. Him and his father, Ciro Matrone, are basically incredible pen makers. Ciro's legacy is part of the whole Delta fountain pen thing. And but if anybody owns any of his pens, and that's a bunch of my collection behind me, they're quality products, and I really like Sal. I've dealt with him directly, but I think you guys will enjoy that. So
I have to show this pen because
this
is Momento Zero Grande in the sand, and it has to be one of my favorite colors of beautiful layers of resin. I love it.
That's beautiful stuff. I had my first Grande made by Sal and asked him to do with the number 8, I think 14 or 18 karat gold nib, and really looked good. And I still have the pen. It's my dark Hawaii Grande.
Even their steel nibs are really tuned.
Yeah. I have some of his pens. So, folks, for you that don't know, Sal is Leonardo, the person that we're talking about. It's going to be on December the 5th. That's a Sunday at 4 p.m. Central Time. So you don't want to miss this gig.
Did you choose that time, Larry, or did?
I did.
You wanted to choose it later in the afternoon? He's going to be about 11 o'clock at night there.
Yeah. I thought it was a good time. He thought it was too.
Okay.
He went for it.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Yep. Because we're going to change it, and he said that's fine. 4 p.m. That's good. So he can stay up a little later with the bambinos. That's all right. Yeah.
I see you're getting your Italian down there, Larry.
Yeah, baby. I'm rocking. I want to be like Dr. Joe now. Yes.
Hey, Larry, we're going to change your last name to Baroni. That's what we're Baroni. That's it.
We got Mad Dan in the house, the Squirrel Man. And we got Georgie, and who else? Rosemary. Okay, we got Rhonda, help me, Rhonda, and we got Lannis here, and we got Tony, and Mr. Announcer's hitting. Okay, so Tony, why don't you take it over for a little while? I know you can if you try hard, Tony.
What I wanted to talk about is something that I've gotten here recently, and we talk about our pens and how much we love our pens, and like Joe said in the past, and it's like everyone says, it's a triangle. It's just perfect, the triad. You got the pen and the ink and the paper. And I've gotten recently. I've just, we've all kind of freaked out about Tomaway River, and in the end, there's a new company that's just purchased. I don't know if any of you have any information about that. A company has purchased the rights to Tomaway River.
Right.
I don't know whether they're going to be reissuing it or whether they just wanted to buy the name. I'm not sure, but it was quite a large sum of money.
Yeah, I was reading about that just now. Susan something is the one that's going to be taking over Tomaway River paper, and it didn't say what I read. It didn't say that if it was going to stay 52 G's or not. So don't know yet.
Well, it is if they're making the new formula that they came out last, I'm not a big fan of it. I probably wouldn't buy any more. I've got plenty of but the old formula obviously was what everyone loved because it was able to shade and sheen and showed all the properties of the ink. But I found a new paper I'm just about ready to say that it's on par with Tomoe River, and I saw it on someone on a Zoom told us about it, and I went ahead and ordered a pad of it, some loose sheets called it's Yamamoto is the name of the company, and the paper is called Cosmo Air Light. I don't know if any of you are
Okay. Yeah. Remember we did. Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
Yeah,
We talked a little bit about Cosmo. Yeah.
It's wonderful paper. It shows every property of the ink that you're writing on there. It's a little bit thicker paper than Tomoe River, but it has no bleed through, and it shows the properties of the ink. And I know if that's something that's important to you, then it's a good paper. It really is.
Tony,
In fact, I think Rhonda or Lannis, one of you I've written recently. I just wrote with you with that new paper.
Tony,
really
Tony,
good.
what was the name of it again? The Mamamoto
Cosmo Air Light.
Air Light.
Air Light, yeah.
Okay.
And I think you can buy that. I bought mine from Shigura Inks. Shigura Inks. That's SHURGA. Yeah. GEA.
Real quick, Mr. Announcer and I are going to be working on a big Robert Oyster project. We got some of it in here, right? In box right here, and so we did our first video. Took us about a week, 2 weeks, and then we just scratched it. We're going to start over because it just wasn't what we needed it to be, so we changed it. And a special thank you to Lena for the help and to Mr. Oyster for the help. So we all got together and we've been collaborating, and so this is what's happening. So that's going to be real interesting to watch. So what else is going on? Pen Boutique, and I'll be getting some of those probably this week, coming up with another new line of Yak products. That's Pen Boutique's brand that they carry. And there's going to be pretty cool pen cases, really nice leather. And I think one of them is going to be they have a 24 and a 12 pen case, and you can hold a 5, I believe, in it, and some pins and some other gadgets in it. So it's going to be interesting, and a lot of this stuff is going to be given away this year too.
Awesome. Well, I know we're looking forward to your Robert Oster review, and that's going to be a big deal. I wanted to say hi to Justin down there. Justin, it's great to see you, and can I add? I really enjoyed your top 3 pen and top 3 ink videos with Larry. Larry, those are really nice. I'm enjoying those, watching those, especially like these people that are here on the Zoom. A lot of these people are going to be doing that.
I will. Hi, Justin. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed that. In fact, I went looking for that Mont Blanc ink after Justin showed it, but it's a little bit out of my budget for an ink.
Oh, was it the Swan Illusion?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's a nice ink.
I'll have to ship you a sample.
It's hard to find. Well, yeah, you've already enabled me with the Diamine communication breakdown. I'm sold on it. Or we could just do Yamabudo and forget about the whole thing.
For me, guys, works for me.
Yeah, man, with Pilot canceling 3 inks, that's kind of a bummer. You gotta buy the stuff that you like and hold on to it. Yeah, Swan Illusion was, I think, I bought it maybe 3 or 4 years ago in the Mont Blanc shop in Dubai, in the Dubai Mall, and I think I was lucky to find it there. But they had it was probably the best Mont Blanc shop I'd been in, because you could try out all the pens. They had a full display with all like the pen holders and everything. That was a really cool experience. I didn't know anyone did that, especially with a pen as high end as like Mont Blanc. But all their other little boutique shops didn't have it. It was always behind glass cases. But the one in Dubai Mall is like, try it all. And I'm like, do you have Swan Illusion? And I'm like, yes, they did. So I think I kind of got lucky on that one.
That's awesome. I got a question for you, Dr. Joe.
Yeah.
Do you ever use your dip pen in your Yamabudo, since that's the only ink you have, or do you
Yeah.
specifically use McCaffrey's or use like a walnut ink?
For the kind of script I used to do, the real fancy, what they call copper plate,
right?
It's actually a grocer script. No, I would probably stick with inks formulated for dip pen for this reason. It's got to do with the viscosity. If it's too liquidy, it doesn't hold on the dip pen right. If it's too viscous, it doesn't come off. And
Right.
so I prefer, and I have used the Yamabudo, but I prefer slightly thicker formulated inks for that.
Right. Okay. I was always curious. I only use just like you say, the pigmented inks that are designed for the dip pen.
I had a question for Dr. Joe also.
Yeah.
Dr. Joe, on your interview with Larry, you mentioned a couple of papers that you favor. I caught the one and I ordered a pad of it, the Rhodia R.
The R, yes.
I've always used a lower grade, but I thought, well, I'd spring for a pad and give it a try. But you also said your favorite was another one, and I didn't catch the name of it.
Well, I'm trying to think now. If we're talking about fountain pens, it would pretty much be the Rhodia or Rhodia R. I only use Rhodia R now. Mostly what I'm doing now is monoline script, or what you guys might call, Palmer method, or what used to be called business pen. That reminds me, I'm gonna post a link. There's a free website on a guy who does old school Palmer method handwriting. If anyone's interested, he's incredible at it. He's better than I am, because I don't pretend to do that kind of stuff. What I do is more calligraphy, but it's completely free. It'll teach you. If you want to improve your handwriting, you can. But no, it's basically Rhodia R paper now. I did try the for fountain pens. I did try, and I did like the Tomoe River. The problem for me, and I might have said this at that time, was that I'm really critical of extremely thin lines, and for some reason, the Tomoe gives me broader lines. I think the surfacing or the size they use in that paper, I think makes it more hydrophilic. It loves fluids, so I actually get a thicker line with it, and that is not good for what I want to do. The paper is beautiful, so if you like it, keep going. I hope they keep it the same for you guys. It's kind of stupid to buy a company and change one of their star products.
Yeah.
So just the Rhodia R.
Joe, speaking of papers for pointed pen, when I was rooming with Michael Sull up there at IAMPETH, I pulled out the pad of what I use for pointed pen now, and it's called 3 Candlesticks. It's right out, and you get it on Amazon. It's a laid paper, but it's perfect for dip pen. It's kind of a lighter version of G Lalo, if you all are familiar with G Lalo.
Yeah. I actually, one of the things I might have said, it's possible when I said this, Dan, I was talking about a paper I put into my book, my free copper plate book. And I mentioned Kodak Bright White, and you have no idea how many people email me from around the world or see what I'm talking. Where can we get? It's not made anymore. I've got to go in there and edit that out. It was just a regular. Yeah, it was just a regular ink. I would say go for inkjet papers. The paper has to hold up the flexion of the nib. If not, it'll cut into the paper and she'll bleed out. So, but yeah, I regret. I've got to go back in and change it. I've just been lazy about doing it.
Okay.
Doc, what nibs are you putting in your dip pens? Are you using like Zebra G's or something, or?
No. I was actually very spoiled. I was able to get my hands on quite a few vintage pen points, and actually, I don't really have. I've got the Esterbrook 357s laying around in a few boxes, but the pen I use for most of the stuff you see me post, shaded script, was a pen made specifically for the Gem City Business College in Chicago, Illinois, and no, it was Chicago or not, but it was called the Musselman Perfection. And what the Musselman Perfection was a restamped or a different type of stamp for the Gillette 604 EF vintage pen. These are incredibly hard to find. They're ridiculously expensive. I was fortunate enough to get around 10 gross boxes of them. And I paid a lot of money for them, but now they're just absolutely ridiculous. To be honest with you, if I was forced to use for me the Zebra G nib is too stiff. You need a certain level of subtlety to that nib to be able to get these differential shadings. But yeah, it was the Muslim imperfection, but it's almost impossible to find now. But I think the Leonard principle is as good as you're going to get for modern times. It's never going to be the equivalent of the best pens of the past. The pens I use were produced around the 1890s. Like I said, it's difficult to find. So
It's really, Joe. What's really kind of funny is that I took a course with Michael Ward at IAMPET, and of course he says would not let us use a G nib, a zebra G nib. He had to have like a Hunt or a Leonard principle, and which I've used before. But every time I went to Michael, I said, "Hey Michael, I'm going to do Spencerian with this Hunt." Or with the one of those, and he goes, he only uses a G nib. I don't know. I don't understand it.
I forget. He used the Leonard principle, but I will say this: you got to keep in mind that Michael Saul. We talking about? Or are we talking about Michael Ward?
Saul.
Yeah, Saul preferably likes to use stiffer pen points.
Yeah.
Someone like Michael Ward, who's pretty much mastered the ornamental penmanship. That he has to have a very special nib to be able to do that. And this is what worries me about that art form is that, who knows, in a few years, there may not be any need for dip pens, just like I've said before with fountain pens. If we don't write, if we don't use the pen, why do we have to have fountain pens then, 20, 30 years from now? So hopefully people will write. And that's why I post what I post, to show people it's doable and inspire them to do it, even though there's a lot better people out there than I am with that. And I'm not being falsely humble. There they are. What I do is more calligraphy. So,
right. Well, I have to say on behalf of probably the majority of people here that what I've done to try to keep the fountain pen alive is write letters. Right. And I know I post on there. People see I post a lot of letters that I ship out, and I've got lots of pen pals. And I truly love writing with a fountain pen. I always start off with a dip pen, write a paragraph to practice my Spencerian, then I flip over to fountain pen, and I think Rhonda and Rosemary, Justin, Dan, Lannis, they're all my pen pals, and I really hope that that's the reason why you're using fountain pens as well, as part of to get use out of them, to write letters with them.
I still think you just make all the envelopes.
That's all I do. There's no letters in those. There's just blank envelopes. That's just empty. But yeah, I agree with Joe totally.
Yeah, I think the flex pen stuff is something that, if you look at my instruction stuff, the nib itself has to be in line with the main slant angle, or you're going to wind up dragging the right nib tine across the paper. So even when I use the fountain pen, like the 149 calligraphy pen, I angle the paper so the shade is in line with the slant angle. It stops the pen from screwing up, and you gotta be real careful with those gold pointed flex pens. They can spring real quickly, and they will over time.
That's a good point you're bringing up about what they claim are flex nibs now. You see them every make has we've got a semi flex or a flex nib, and realistically they're not really like what you see when you see calligraphy. They're not intended to be able to make those big shades to flex like that. But I see people do it all the time, and then they end up springing their nibs.
Well, the other thing about the dip pens is that they're incredibly sharp. You can get hairlines to the point where you almost, a guy named John DeCalabas is another master at ornamental penmanship. And, the first time I seen him write, I thought he missed the hairlines. He didn't. But for some folks, that makes them uncomfortable because they're not used to reading it. But you absolutely cannot achieve that with a fountain pen. I don't care, steel nib or anything. It's got these dip pens were incredibly sharp. And they used a different kind of paper in the old masters. They used a acid-containing wood pulp paper, which, degrades over time.
Yeah. Well, anybody have any?
Yeah, I got a question. Make sure. I believe I was talking with Justin earlier about Carrier Custom, and I read somewhere that they were shutting down their pen line. Is that correct? Anybody hear about that? Or am I?
No, Karis Customs.
Karis Customs, yeah.
Not
They're
read
gonna.
that.
Well, I forgot where I saw that on Facebook, I believe. Uh, but I still see their ballpoints there. They'll still have those, but I have to check into it more because that's what I thought they said, because maybe the pins weren't selling as good, and Justin's on here. He can add some to it because Goulet's not buying pins from him anymore. I don't think so.
Well,
I don't know.
I think they've not been selling as well from Goulet. I think Karis wanted to go do their own thing. I don't know if they're shutting pens down or as much as like being more like a limited release at the moment, because they're coming up with some wild card kind of stuff across the board. So it's not just like fountain pens they do. They do some really good fountain pens, in my opinion. But they've also got these neat like ballpoint, like funky clicking ones. I know that they're really, really popular with like law enforcement, just because they're super rugged and durable. And they're just quick and easy access, because you can like get that pen out and write whatever you got to write. And there's, you can slap any insert in them, like the Pilot G2 insert and maybe even Space Pen and all that. But I guess the kind of bums me out is that like the ones that I was always after is the metal pen. Like, I mean, there's tons of plastic hand-turned pens out there, and they all kind of start looking the same after a while. And they came out with a couple of their like higher end ones, and I mean, I guess maybe it appeals to some, but I'm just like, it just seems like an uninspired design. But the Render K and the Ink K, the version 2s look really cool. But then every time you go to the site to look for stuff, they've got like 3 colors, and they used to have like 10 or something. And when I say colors, I mean like 1 anodized, 1 copper, and maybe 1 like naked aluminum. So I really enjoy metal pens, the ones that I've had. So I was kind of looking for one with a bit more heft, and they seem that way, but I don't know why they just don't seem to be as popular.
Here's a metal pen for you. The Lamy Dialogue 3. It's a really nice heavy pen.
Is that new one they came out with the kind of weird back end?
This is the 3. This is not the new one. The new one's got a shorter. It doesn't have a clip on it. It just has a roll. Yeah,
Lamy's got another weird wild card design coming out. It looks kind of like a teardrop in the cross section of it. It's like their Ion, but
Did I hear you say you want a heftier pen, more weight? Is that what you said?
I mean, I have some hefty pens. I've got an ebonite, and I've got a few metals, but I like metal pens, and I guess maybe I'm a weirdo that way, because I know a lot of people don't like that kind of heft, but
The one you should look into is Andy Lambro put out a sterling silver pen called the CP8. I had 2 of them. You got that pen weighs like as much as a truck. It's the heaviest small sterling you'll ever see. I mean, it's really, really heavy. It dwarfed my Namiki Emperor pen by it was just ridiculous.
Is it this one right here you're talking about?
Did you get
that's a whomper.
Yeah, it is. It's a heavy pen. Yes, it's sterling silver. It's a heavy pen. It's a wonderful pen, by the way. I think I've shared with this group before, Joe, how I had a 2.5 year wait for a pen that Andy was supposed to make, and I gave him deposit. Oh, you know that. I
got my deposit back. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I told him after he got me for some more deposit on another model, and another year passed. I said, listen, why don't you just give me whatever you've got? I don't care what it is. Just send me something. So I have something for my money. And he sent me this one is the Flamme. And then I got the other one, no, this is not the Flamme. This is the other one. Yeah. This is the Valkyrie or
the Veneri.
Yeah. Veneri. And then I got the Flamme. So he sent me the other one. So I've got a pair of them now. And, it wasn't one I really wanted to have to get another pen like that, but I had to get something from him. And I haven't heard from him if he's even all right.
I think he's having, I don't know definitely, but I heard that he might be having some health challenges.
Wow.
When I met Andy, and I don't know him well, I bought 2 of his LB5s, one in red that now carry him up. What's his name? Jaeger from the fountain pen Day owns, and I also the green one. He made fabulous pens. The guy's really passionate, but he's also a good salesman.
Yeah,
yes, he is. And so, I was trying to help out, but after a while, it's like you can only wait so long. So
Well, the problem. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What kind of sold me on the metal of the Karis? I don't know if the Sterling would be able to handle this. You had Brian Goulet running one over with his car, like throwing it across the parking lot and picking it up, but didn't have a ding on it. It's like, I mean, I have a lot of nice, fancy, high-end, fragile pens, but it'd be kind of cool to hold onto something. And, if I get a car, I can bust my window out and crawl out. EDC pens or something,
Yeah.
It's a bummer because Karis doesn't seem to have many things in stock these days, so maybe they're shifting out. I don't know, but anyway.
Well, one company that's no longer making pens. You remember Ramillo from Spain? Anybody hear of them? They made their own nibs, custom. I have one of their pens. Unfortunately, the nib was less than desirable, so I had to have Mike Masayama fix it up. It was a beautiful ebonite pen, and but they make their own nibs, which today is such a rarity.
They've got Justin. Have you checked out Walsh? I think his name is Brian Walsh, or it's Gravitas Pens.
Oh, is he the German gentleman
from Ireland?
Oh yeah. Like they do a skull pen, I think.
Well, he also does. He makes some in concrete.
What?
Yeah. That's
wow. There's a material. All right.
Yeah, actually makes. Have you heard of that, Larry? Have you seen him?
No, first time. No, first time.
Tony, say the name again.
Ben Walsh. It's and it's Gravitas. Frank, if you want to look that site up and share it.
Yeah, I just posted.
I think I've seen some of his pens, but
there it is.
Not the cement one. Wow.
I posted this site, his pens, and
I don't know how durable they are, being concrete. I mean, but this because they're not. It's a mixture, but it's not an actual. But
yeah, I think who switched me on was Ferocious and Pretty Pens. Is it Nusha? She picked up one. It looks pretty cool. Yeah, these look amazing.
Yeah,
and they're out of Ireland, huh?
Right, out of Ireland, and I've seen him.
Yeah, the dude did that skull one.
Yeah, he's very, very fascinating guy, a young man.
Yeah, I'd be all over an Irish pen.
By the way, did anybody see the new nib that Santini is putting out?
The number
8 guys? Yeah, I would need one of those.
Yeah.
And who's putting out?
Santini? Anyone here have any?
I have Santini pens, but not that nib. That's a new thing.
I've had conflicting reports from people that have gotten Santinis and said that they would run dry and they had a few flow issues. I'll ask you about your opinion, Doc.
Well, the ones I have are fine, but again, I'm not as upset about that because I prefer to have someone like Masayama work on my pens.
Yeah.
Major correction. I had an issue with the Conid. I had one of the oversized Conid demonstrators, a beautiful pen, 18-karat gold nib, but it came and there's actually air between the two nib tines, and so I had Atlanta a few years ago. I gave it to Mike, and within 15 minutes, the thing was writing like a dream. So,
gosh, it's amazing. These Nibmeister, and they're slowly disappearing.
Well, yeah. Frank, I see you posted the IAMPIC link on your the thing. I don't know how many you may or may not know this, but I was the guy who started IAMPIC's website many years ago.
Really?
Oh yeah, and I'm actually their historian as well. So it's like an unofficial thing, but yeah.
But I missed you in Omaha.
Yeah, I'll be next year. This coming year, I believe it's going to be in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Lots of pen people around that area, so I'll be there. They're doing something online now, actually. So.
They are a virtual deal.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I want to get one of those Santinis. I've been looking at those, and they look. And what I've seen from people, for those of you that are not familiar with Santini, they're made in Italy, and when they send you one of their pens, the packaging is like exquisite. They have a card on the inside where they've actually tested your pen to show you how it writes.
And keep in mind that with people, they're varying, different inks they use. Not all ink has the same viscosity and properties, and so that could sort of cause problems for folks as well. But a really bad nib is something that's unfortunately an expensive pen. But like I said, I really dig the Santini pens, and what drew me to them is they make their own nibs, which I think is pretty amazing in today's. Almost everything is Bach or Yobo. So. me see where I got my Santinis here.
I've got a quick
They
question.
look almost like they're not exactly the same as a Pelican nib, but they look for that giant looks really close to like a Pelican style, like a shorter time, but like a bulkier body. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Joe, you mentioned ink viscosity and
Sorry, you're cutting out.
viscous and pen ink. Is there something you can add to ink to make it more viscous?
Yeah, you got to be real careful with that because some people just add what calligraphers normally do is add powdered gum arabic to water. There's a certain ratio. Or you can buy the gum arabic in liquid form and you just put, by drop, but I would not do that for a fountain pen. Dip pens, it's one thing because you can take them out, you can clean them. I use the ultrasonic bath. I used to use an ultrasonic bath to clean my pens. And, but no, if you want to loosen something up, obviously adding water to it, there's still water's the best thing to do. But most fountain pen inks are formulated very carefully. And if it's too viscous, you won't be able to get the thing to flow through the pen. Even with some of the dip pens, that's still a problem. But the problem is you don't know what the actual binding, the binding material is for pens. If someone's using, believe it or not, they actually use things like hide glue or different types of preparations. If you mix, the binding agents, it could cause a problem. So I just basically use inks right out of the bottle. And your Orochi was beautiful. I know people talk about more, moist inks that help lubricate. But, if something is really lubricated, you're going to wind up having ink flow problems because it now is no longer fluid loving, hydrophilic, it becomes hydrophobic, which doesn't like the surface of the metal. So anyway, I'm not sure if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that helps. Basically, leave it alone.
Well, most fountain pen inks are pretty acidic by nature. There was a Schaefer or somebody posted that. And, I was actually surprised by that. So, if you're using gold, it's fine. But for those people who use steel nibs, you could potentially have some corrosion issues with them. So just be careful. And some of these inks, they're so saturated, hypersaturated that any type of evaporation, you'll get some of that bleeding. All that stuff will start to crystallize and creep out of you. Nib creep, I guess they call it. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah,
the orange and red inks are notorious for that.
Yeah, they're just hyperpigmented, with even if it's anyway.
Yeah, some of the nitrous, the organic studios inks are really super saturated and sheening and cause Justin can tell you about the organic studios, how it can it can take you a long time to clean that out of your pen because it's just the amount of saturation.
Can I get quick control of the screen? I want to share these sentences.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the first Santini I purchased. It's in the middle. Can you guys see that?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and that's actually really incredibly heavy cast, metal on that ring. It's really beautiful. And that gives you a sense of the size. That's a 146 on the on the screen. Let me bring up a different image for you. Sorry guys, I don't mean to dominate the camera. I know people are curious about this. This is a better image if I can get it on. Sorry. Here it is. Okay. Stop share. Share.
It reminds me a little bit of my Omas Milord.
Yes, again, these are Italian pens. As an Italian, I could say that they're Italian pens, and these guys have a certain approach to these things. But I just love the fact that the nib was made. It's talk about dying art. Those machines they're making those nibs on are pretty old, and that's why I was so happy to find out that these guys came out with
I love the facets on that pen. I love faceted pens anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can tell you, man, there's a lot of gorgeous pens, especially from where is it? Sorry, Leonardo, because Sal was able to make me one or two pens that use material that I guess they shouldn't. This is a Leonardo with arcocelluloid.
Wow, wow, that's beautiful.
There was a time, guys, when I had ridiculous amounts of arcocelluloid pens. I mean, it was actually ridiculous. And I've sold most of it. For me, I'm focusing more on stuff I can use with writing. You know, this material is beautiful. No doubt it's one of the most beautiful materials around, but you know, after a while, it's like, okay, how many of these things can I have? Am I going to use them? Which is really what it came down to.
Right.
Trying to see if I can get the actual. Oh, here it is. Okay, this will show you my actual level of insanity. That was my arcocelluloid collection at one time.
Wow. Oh, God.
Yeah, and at the Walt Eversharp ones, the Arco Bronze, that was one of the the Arco Verde was one of their Majestic 7 or something pens, and you see early if the first few the first two are Omas, the next bigger ones are ASCs. This is Manu's company. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe these pens were made by Sal Matrone.
Yep. I think you're right.
Yeah, and then you could see a very rare pattern on the ASC, the smaller ones to the right. You can see it's what they call a herringbone or a fishbone pattern, bringing a lot more money. Anyway, I'll shut up. By the way, I don't own any of those pens anymore. I got rid of them.
Wow. Well, I
miss
want
them?
to tell you. Oh, go ahead, Larry.
Do you miss them, Doc?
No, Larry, I don't. I'm not, unless it's a family heirloom, I'm not that attached to anything. Just the other day, somebody asked me about one of my Mont Blancs, except for the 149s. It was the Voltaire pen. He wanted it for his collection. Okay, I buy and sell pens. It's what I do. I do that with guitars. So anyway.
Hey, gotta go, guys. Got an Astros.
Oh, that's right.
Watch
Good luck
party.
to you. Good luck to you, Will.
Hey,
Yeah.
guys.
Bye.
Love y'all. Thank you, Doc. Appreciate you sharing your pens.
I've gotta ask if any of you watch YouTube. There's a gentleman on there who's got a high end shop. His name is Samuel I can't remember his last name, but he's Samuel Nahi or something like that. But he went. No, I think he's overseas. I think.
Okay.
And he went and did a video touring the Monte Grappa factory, and basically, it was, and I guess Giuseppe, I think his name is, that CEO of Monte Grappa, took him through and showed him how they make all the stuff, and then took him to looked like a bunker that had all of their celluloid in there.
Yeah.
And basically said that the celluloid, the problem is with celluloid is that it has to cure in an oven for so long, because what happens is the moisture in there, if you don't get all the moisture out of the celluloid, it can actually shrink or become deformed, bent, or so it was so interesting to understand how celluloid works. And
the solvent they use is naphtha, and you can smell it in younger celluloids, and that can actually be a fire hazard. So an uncured material. But you're right. And I think you may be talking about Emmy from Pen Venture, who's in Romania.
No, I know who Emmy is. It was not him.
He does that
too. His name is Samuel. I'll try to find him and let you all know who he is. But yeah, he's got a high-end store, and he sells watches and pens, but he's really on high-end Mont Blanc and Monte Grappa and those kind of pens that he sells in the shop. But the tour was really fascinating to see the equipment that Monte Grappa has, that they make their pens and they do their nibs and all of that. Very, very interesting. But yeah, some of those celluloids that Monte Grappa has are just beautiful.
Yeah, I got a green one from the Admirale, I guess it was called.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, it's beautiful.
The interesting thing about that, though, is that they didn't use their own nib. They went to Sailor for that nib. And that's one of the things that attracted me to it, because I love Sailor nibs.
Mm-hmm.
And where the hell is it? Here it is. It's the Admirale 1939 is the pen. And this is the, let me just click back over to here, share this. This is the pen. You guys see that?
Oh yeah, beautiful pen. That is a good looking pen.
Love that color.
Yeah, that's
gorgeous.
and I'll show you the what do you call it? The what am I looking at here? There it is. Okay. Stop sharing. And I show you the nib version, the nib on this thing, you can tell that's a sailor nib.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's
Although it has their etching on there, like the multigrappa etching,
I think Sailor is just trying to, this is commonly done with dip pen nibs many years ago, but I can tell right away when I look at that. That's why because I know the EF would be something I could use. And ask me if I've inked the pen. I haven't inked the pen yet. I haven't inked the pen yet. So, and this is what the size comparison looks like, if you can see that.
Wow, it's a nice size pen for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but
I know a beautiful kind of burgundy ink you could put in there.
Oh, yeah, trust me. Somebody asked me about if I'd sell it.
So, Justin, what inks did you say that Pilot was going to be getting rid of and when?
Justin,
I didn't come prepared for class, Teach. Okay, so I know that
Don't make me go off. But go ahead, that's okay, buddy. You're excused.
Off the top of my head, one of my two favorite Oroshizukas are like getting rid of, and I like a lot of the Oroshizukas. So to say two favorites, very mild, but Tsukushi, which is like that brown horse's tail. I really enjoyed it because I did my first Inktober with that ink. And as I experimented with my style, I used a lot of water brush technique as well to wash the ink with fountain pen and everything. And it washes to pink. It's pretty cool ink. And then Inoho, which is the rice, I think rice ear, maybe just like rice plant or whatever. That's going. And then one of their neat blue ones. It's not Konpeki, but it's like a close tint to Konpeki. The hard part is like the first time I heard about it was from a Korean poster because a Korean shop figured it out first, like they got news of it first. And then so you had to translate the post from Instagram. And then Mountain of Ink just recently posted on it. So yeah, I guess the rumors are kind of solidifying, but the promise is we're going to get another 3. So they're swapping out for 3 new colors. I don't know if it's their 100th anniversary Japanese Gods line, if they're going to pull 3 from there, or if they're coming out with 3 brand new things. I don't know. I mean, Pilot's been such a consistent company price-wise and product-wise for so long. It's kind of a shocker, I don't know. I have no idea what the new 3 will be. It's interesting.
The other Pilot ink I liked, the Roshizuku, was the Murasaki Shikabu or something like that. It's like almost like a bluish purple color. I used that early on, but then I decided to go with the one just like it says from a laziness standpoint.
Yeah,
it's nice when you can just put the same ink in it all the time and have to worry. Back in the day, they only had in the vintage pens. They primarily didn't have like all this variety of colors. They had black, blue. Did they have red ink? I don't even know if they had red ink back in the, back in the 30s and 40s. I would assume so.
I'm surprised if they didn't.
Yeah.
What was I going to show you? Oh, can't remember.
Have you ever had a Pilot Urushi, custom Urushi pen?
Yes. Let's see if I can find it.
You got it. I'll send it to you.
So yeah, I had it, and I had it in black.
Oh yeah, there you are.
That's
and
a
that
beautiful
FM nib. What is that? Is that
fine medium?
Fine medium. But it wrote like a Japanese fine.
Yes.
Fabulous. Rosemary?
I just found the third. Sorry, I'll interrupt. I just found the third ink to get its head chopped off, and that's Tsuyukusa. And my Japanese is terrible, but yeah. So it's Inoho, Tsuyukusa, and Tsukushi. So I think Tsuyukusa is close to like a Konpeki, maybe a little bit darker than that azure blue. But I think it's got some sheening qualities, which is also kind of a bummer to lose. So I've never experienced that one, but you know, the ink swatches look amazing. So I don't know. Maybe they'll come up with something new and amazing.
Has anybody seen Aziz's video where she takes the Opus 88 and puts a Pilot parallel nib into it? You guys seen that?
No.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sure. It literally, you pull out their nib and you can insert a Pilot parallel directly in. It's amazing. And this gets a lot of ink.
Wow.
So if you're in broad pen, this is the. I bought a second one as well. I already had the Pilot parallel pens, but you literally pull the thing out, watch for the O-ring in the back, and just insert them. And you can go from a 1.2 millimeter up to like a 5 or 6 millimeter,
With that tremendous ink capability.
Tremendous ink
I
capacity.
know. I've got a couple of those. They're wonderful.
You want to know another dirty little secret? I don't know how dirty it is, but the Moonman pens will do the same. I think it's the Wankai, the little mini one will accept one of those nibs in it as well as the that sort of torpedo shaped one they make that's clear. So I've got an Opus 88 right here. It's the Omar in clear, and I've not done the mutation on it just yet because I'm happy enough with the nib, the Jowa they put in. What I want to do is put in maybe a titanium or something flexy with like a super fine point in it, just because the capacity, as you said, is huge. I got all the way through Inktober this year with one fill, and I still have like half the reservoir on this, and I did a lot of sketching. So these things hold on it.
They sure do.
I got a question for y'all. On mine, it's not sucking up the ink. So, what could be the
What is that?
The Opus 88.
Well,
That's the Omar, but it's got colors.
Huh?
Isn't that an eyedropper?
No, it's
Yeah, he's got we got the same pen. Mine's just the clear version.
Yeah. So
like a cracked ice version.
Yeah.
I find the dropper. It's an eyedropper pen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the Japanese, like they're not Japanese, but they're the old Japanese style eyedroppers. So you unscrew the back.
Gotcha.
So Larry, like they do have problems with running dry, even when they're open, just because I think there's like this little teeny nipple between that Yowo like fill nipple and like that little mini reservoir. So what I do is when I find it running dry, I'll do the old shaky over paper until I get some more faith there. But they do, like, this is an extra fine nib and it does tend to run dry. But Yowo nibs, the quality is so up and down. You might need a nib adjustment. I don't know.
But Larry, are you talking about filling the pen?
Yeah.
That does not. There's not enough vacuum. That's not a vacuum. That's just a plunger. You have to fill it with the syringe.
Right. Yeah. It
wouldn't. If it was an eyedropper, you
only holds a little bit of ink. Yeah, I've already did the syringe thing. I'm saying it doesn't hold. I don't know why. Just a little bit of ink.
You have to unscrew the back end.
Huh?
Pull that. You have to unscrew the back end and pull the plunger down a little bit so it's got room. But mine holds a ton. It should hold a ton of ink.
It should. Yeah, but I filled it when I first got it halfway, but now I hadn't used it in a long time. Just a little bit of ink.
Wow.
I almost threw it in the trash. I was getting so mad.
Don't do that.
No, I'm not.
It might have dried out. You might need to wash
Mr. Announcer will baby it for you.
Give it a wash. Because the Yowo nib section just comes right out. It's unscrewed. It's a little like unit. It just backs right out. Pull it out. Give it a wash.
You're right. I think she's sick.
Possibly.
Probably a cardiac arrest or something like that going on. I mean, less than a meal, just a little bit. What? This is a job for Tony C. Tony, yeah.
What size nib is it, Larry?
Broad.
Okay.
Yeah,
that should work. That should flow.
Yeah, it used to flow. Now it's not doing nothing. Nothing.
Just clean it out.
It's got a curse on it. Yeah, it's got that celluloid curse on it from Dr. Joe put on it, I think. Yeah. Here we go, Doc.
He gave you the Maloku right there. See that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Set it around black ink spots, guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, this pen only cost me, $899. That's a pretty good deal, wasn't it, Tony?
I wish I,
son of a
No,
bitch.
it
I wish
didn't.
I was the one that sold it to you.
Tony, I'm going to give you a deal, Tony, since you're a buddy of mine. Look, for you, I'll sell it to $150.
Oh, that's
I'll
a
even
good-
throw in the
you're a good
10K.
friend. You're a good friend, Larry. I would hate to take advantage of you like that.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
10-minute warning.
Oh, 10-minute warning.
10-minute warning. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, 10-minute
Well,
warning.
hey, let's hear from some of the people I've been.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, we'll shut up.
Rosemary, what's new with you? Anything new down in Florida?
Well, it's still hot. It's November and it is still hot. I mean, you go outside and you're sweating, so it's still hot. We're waiting for those cool breezes, but they haven't showed up. Every year, it seems like it's later and later that it gets.
But you're in northern Florida. You're not too far from Dr. Joe.
No, I'm in the Gulf Coast. I'm in the Tampa Bay area.
Yeah, well, still that's northern.
I'm like halfway down.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Hey, the Chiefs won last night. I stayed up and watched.
Barely.
No.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good this year.
Yeah. The rough season.
Well. And
I did
Rhonda, how are you doing, Rhonda? How are the cats?
The cats are actually asleep right now, but they're doing well.
I got your letter. I'm getting ready to answer it back, so I wanted to let you know that. Dan, I've got all 4 of your letters, and I'm working on those. How's everything down there preparing for a wedding?
Yeah, that's what's taking up all of our time right now. Our daughter has always wanted to be married outside, right? Well, she happens to be wanting to get married on Thanksgiving week.
Oh, really?
In Illinois, you can be out in a t-shirt on a nice day, or you can be standing in a foot of snow with snow blowing sideways. Just depends on the day of the week. So, and I'm going to conduct the service too.
Oh, wonderful.
So,
wonderful.
I'm in it for the.
Are you going to walk her down the aisle and flip around and
walk her down the aisle, and then I have to stop. Then I have to run around. I have to say, "Who gives this woman to be the bride of this man?"
And then you run back.
I say, "I do."
Bring your ice skates.
That's going to be cool. Take a video of that. I'd love to see it.
That's right.
I hate to interrupt with non-Pen stuff, but our very dear friend Troy LaPlante, I'm still waiting to hear from him. This is election day.
Right.
For the city council, I believe it is. And they should know something really soon, I would think. So I was hoping to make an announcement, but I've not heard from him yet.
Probably still early. They're still probably voting at this point. It might be kind of early.
He says, I'm not sure. Well, you might be right. Generally polls are shut down around what, 7-ish or so?
Yeah, I think so.
Which should be 6 because it's East Coast time for me, my 6 o'clock, and it's 7:30 now. He said there's not very many voters. It's a very small community.
Right.
But because of the counting usually happens pretty quick.
Well, that's all. I think we've all been rooting for him to pull through and win.
Great guy.
He does.
I hope he gets it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dan. Lannis, you're up in Canada. I'm trying to make a way around real quick. How are things up north of the border? Are they opening up yet?
Not for us to go to you, but you guys can come to us. It's, all a matter of those governments, right? What they think. And we're in really pretty good shape around here as far as COVID goes. Most people, a good percentage, have been vaccinated, and we're of course seeing the numbers plummet and stuff like that. But we cannot wait until we can go cross-border shopping. I can't wait to go to Frankenmuth, Michigan. I want to go to Bronner's kind of thing. But anyway, I don't know when that will be. But other than that, things are pretty good. And as Rosemary was saying, it's still hot there. Well, interestingly enough, 2nd of November here, and somebody I was talking to says they really believe that the weather has shifted, and so that we get our summer later in the year, like November. We've had not today, but we're still having like you know, 12, 15 Celsius, that kind of thing. So we're still having decent weather, and yet, you know, our springs are somewhat delayed. So who are you waving at, Larry?
Excuse me. The latest on Troy LaPlante got election day totals, not including early vote. He goes, I lost. He came in 5th place.
Yeah.
Fifth. How many people are running in that? That was odd.
I don't know, 5 or 6 maybe.
There's only
Wow.
2 places open and several people running.
Oh, okay. But a very small community, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's awful.
Those
Oh,
totals were for today's election day
5th
voters.
place.
They had early voters too, and they have not counted that.
You spent a lot of money on that.
yeah. Well, we just you know, I'm and maybe if he doesn't get elected, we won't have to worry about any, you know, him getting corrupted by politics. It's an unfortunate deal, right?
Yeah.
Liz, you have. I know you're at work and you can't really talk, can't be seen, but we want to welcome you.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Liz.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Larry.
Liz was the first one to know, in fact, weren't you, Liz?
The first one, what?
You were the first person to know, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, the big show. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
There you
awesome.
go.
We're glad to- And George, thank you for showing up as well. We hadn't seen you in a minute, but I'm glad you got to make it.
Yeah, I'm having some internet Wi-Fi issues, so I don't know what kind of lag you guys are getting from me, but yeah, it's good to be here.
And is that a kitty cat we saw?
Oh, I want to show you. Yes,
George?
there was a kitty cat. It's his dinner time, and he was letting me know that. Yeah, and speaking
So
of
is ours down here.
Leonardo, I got my Leonardo. I got it from Emmy.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
Yeah, I can't wait.
How do you
for
like
that
it?
show,
How do you
Larry.
like it?
Awesome.
How do you like it, George?
I love it. It's an awesome
Oh,
pen.
Good.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I think it's a great pen. I'm enjoying it.
Awesome. Wow.
Hey, Justin, where's that puppy dog?
She's flying around in the background here. I've got the squeaky toy. So if you hear me, if you see me suddenly shifting really quick, it's because I'm getting bit.
Well, I'm glad
German
you
shepherds
clarified that.
are lovingly known as land sharks because they bite everything, including your arms and legs, when they want something. Yeah, Sweetums is right here at my side, causing problems. Oh, she's too far out here. But she's hiding under the desk at the moment. She knows she's on stage.
That's funny. Well, I know that Larry, I know that you have a whole array of people that will end up wanting to do you're talking the top 3 pens and top 3 inks like you did with Justin and you've done with Marilyn. I think you've done with also with Joe. I think you've done with Joe as well.
Yeah. And I think I did it with Dr. James McCarty as well, too.
Yes.
I've done quite a few of them. Yeah, with Dr. McCarty, I've done his already, too.
Yeah, I got to ask before we leave, how hard was it going to be for any of you to say, these are my top 3 pens? Because for me, it changes every day.
Yeah, that's me. That's what I would say.
That is hard.
You kind of just have to pull the trigger and then have the regret later. It's kind of like buying a pen where it's like, yeah, this is really cool. Then you like it, like, oh, there's another shiny.
Well, I think what's important is how they've if they've had some sort of meaning, special meaning. Like if it was I think you had one of those, Justin, and it had a certain meaning to you, and that's important.
Just stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
If anybody knows me, they know my favorite.
Pelican, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, wow. We know you.
Well, my favorite pen, nobody asked me, but I'm going to say it anyway, the Jen Howe.
Oh, it is?
Oh,
Jen Howe?
cool.
He likes those shark pens.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I like them.
This doesn't
give them
surprise me at all.
Go ahead and laugh, Doc. It's okay.
I
I'm
can't
used
keep
to it.
them.
Franco laughs at me all the time. So,
But I'm a creep, so.
yeah, you're a creep. You're a real ball-headed creep, too. Yeah.
My God. It's getting,
Yeah.
it's getting bad in here. Yeah.
Well, I think it's about
The right
7:30.
answer
Oh,
is,
it's about time to go. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, now it's time to say goodbye to all my pin company. All right. See y'all later.
See
take
ya.
care, Joe.
See you
Take
guys.
care.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.